Cut the formalities, you see the title, and if you've been following me since the beginning, you know I'm a fan of this series. And if you're new, I got a handy playlist in the description. However, abridged version, this is Blacksad. The main character is an anthro-cat detective in 1950s New York, faced murderers, racists, and all forms of bastards. It was created by Juan Diaz-Canales, an author whose name I've screwed up in the past, and yes, I'm ashamed, and Juanjo Granindo on art. I've covered 5 out of this 7-story series, and last time I admit the last story was good, but the weakest. Will that still be the case, or will this 2-parter fall down? Well, let's dive into Blacksad Did They All Fall Down, part 1 and 2, and find out. Wait, but in the New Year's video, didn't you have both of them be your number? Don't ruin the fun. Warning, spoilers. Our story begins with a little Shakespeare in the park. Weekly and John are enjoying the show. Well, John is. Weekly is actually more interested in one of the performers. The fun, though, takes a brief pause as the police come in, led by Lieutenant Fox, who's been in the background a few times in the series, but up until now has only had limited dialogue, which is why I'm only now talking about him. He tells the play's director, a llama by the name of Iris Allen, "Oh, you better watch out, Fox, or her husband will start a flashpoint." He tells Iris that the play is violating a zoning law. Iris, of course, thinks it's a complete load. I mean, she's right, never had this problem in Central City, but Blacksad steps in and suggests that they should just let the play wrap up and let the audience leave under their own free will instead of causing a riot. Fox hates to admit it, but agrees, and the show wraps up with everyone satisfied. Unfortunately, Iris still is arrested, and half the cast head off to pay her bail. So Wiggly comes in to assist the actress he was eyeing, who reveals her name to be Rachel Zuko, who, when not performing, reveals to be a new journalist, which is kind of jumping ahead, as the style of journalism that would be known as new journalism, which was more of an artistic view on journalism, where they blended a bit of dramatization to the truth, wasn't founded until the 1960s, a solid decade after the series takes place. Weekly doesn't exactly buy into that form of journalism, and she's understandable, leading to Weekly to reveal that the paper he works for is under new management and is looking for new blood, so offers her a job. Later that night, John comes across a bat in the middle of being mugged by a bunch of pissed off lizards. John saves him, and the bat, who we later learn is named Kenneth Clark, is a friend of Iris who believes he could help him. He's the president of the Transportation Workers Union, and though John is worried he wants him to help deal with Louis Solomon, a Falcon urban planner and construction tycoon he's been fighting with, he's relieved when Kenneth reveals that he needs his help with another force he's dealing with, the Weasel Mafia, who sent out a hitman to take him out. Kenneth doesn't trust the cops, so comes to John to help him deal with it. John takes the job, and they shake on it. Meanwhile, Weekly takes Rachel to his place of work, and though it seems shaky, she gets hired. But Weekly's new boss tells him he only has one shot to give him a new story, or he is out of luck, or he's out. And unlike his previous works, he doesn't want anything morbid with blood and gore, which, given Weekly's life, yeah, he might want to start job hunting. He decides to interview Solomon, the urban planner mentioned before, and can't say he doesn't know how to intimidate people, as he tells the reporter about his new bridge while standing on the edge with no support. And after being annoyed with most of the reporters, only agrees to be interviewed by those who would be willing to walk with him on one of the support bridges. Weekly is the only one to do so, and Solomon admits he's impressed. He tells Weekly how he believes that the future only belongs to the bold, and how to make an omelet, you gotta break a few eggs. Weekly agrees, which pleases Solomon, who decides to let him shadow him for his story, which would be cool, but we head to the hospital where we meet a seagull by the name of Shelby, who is seeing his son Dill, who unfortunately is forced to live in an iron lung due to polio. And as he leaves, Solomon shows up, telling him he has to deal with Kenneth. As it turns out, Kenneth was trying to blackmail him to not shut down the subway tunnels that would have harmed his union. Speaking of Kenneth, John is planning to go undercover to deal with the mob hitman, but learns about Solomon's plan regarding the tunnels. He also finds a way in as he plans to pose as a ghost worker, a freelancer owned by the mob, as he suspects that the hitman will be posing as one of them. Elsewhere, we see an old gopher, bird watching, and it turns out he works for Solomon. His name is Raffles, and he's a senior engineer, and while Weekly tries to be friendly, he only focuses on Rachel. I'll just say, he's lucky she didn't break his other leg. Meanwhile, Blacksad was able to pose as a ghost worker, and even found the hitman, and stopped him from stabbing Kenneth. Well, that was easy, and for once, John didn't suffer unfortunately, during the fight, someone snuck up behind Kenneth and pushed him into an oncoming train. Never mind. Back with Rachel and Weekly, they're visiting Iris, who tells Rachel Rachel that she belongs on the stage, not journalism, another tool to manipulate the masses. Well, not totally inaccurate. Weekly takes offense, but before things can get heated, Iris is informed of Kenneth's death, while Solomon is told by the mayor that they will be building an amphitheater at the park. Solomon's not happy, but the mayor tells him to shut up and smile since Iris got the paperwork. After Kenneth's funeral, Blacksad has a friendly chat with Iris where she mentions her late husband Zach, who, like Kenneth, worked with the union, and how after his death, her and Kenneth decided to continue fighting for the workers, though Iris decided to go a different route as her and her troop protest against Solomon, which leads to Weekly and Rachel clashing, culminating to the two fighting about how Weekly had become the very thing Iris criticized about journalism, as while he's befriended Solomon, he's missed the bigger picture. While that's going on, Blacksad was investigating Kenneth's murder. He figures out that Shelby was the killer, and with the help of a shoe shiner, going by nickname Supermanny, he finds out about his son, and even tries to visit his son Dill, but the nurse stops him. As for Weekly, he takes Rachel's words to heart and follows Solomon, where he sees him talking to Shelby. Unfortunately, Solomon caught him and knocked him out, leading to a crushing scene as Iris is murdered by the Reverse Flash! I'm sorry, I'm done with the Flash jokes. Joking aside, it is a tragic scene, especially as we see the troop wonder where she is and are forced to perform without her. Part 1 concludes with Weekly waking up next to Iris's body, framed for her murder, and John watching the play to support the troop and learn that Iris had an understudy, and it was a familiar face, Alma, from the third story of the series, Red Soul, and Blacksad is shocked. So, that's part 1, solid setup, did a great job building momentum and intrigue, but did part 2 keep it up?